Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster G. Tarpley on Twitter, tarpley.net, for the major article on the reasons for the wave of destabilizations unleashed through the CIA, starting with WikiLeaks and then proceeding on. We're looking at the Arab countries joining in the imperialist coalition of the willing, if you will, against Libya. Qatar, you'll notice that Al Jazeera is interested in the human rights violations of all Arab and Middle East states, and indeed many others, but not Qatar, because that's where they're based. Doha, Qatar, that's them. That's the Al-Thani family. And again, you go back to the French Revolution, we had Philippe Égalité, a member of the Orléans family, the junior branch of the French Bourbon royal family, who tried to ride the tiger of revolution, helped to stimulate the attack on the Bastille, many other things. But he didn't fare too well. He lost his head in the process. Now, the Thanis believe that they can ride the tiger of this revolution even in countries that are as close to them and as large as Saudi Arabia or Bahrain or others. And they're the ones who are pushing Al Jazeera, right, which is now the main Putsch Vision channel in the Middle East. The Qatar forces, such as they are, may take part, or it may be money. It's not clear whether this is going to mean planes or men or ships, or whether it's going to mean money. The candidates, therefore, we're hearing to join in the attack on Libya are Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia itself. Now, this may be black propaganda. Some of this is actually coming from Al Jazeera itself. But the United Arab Emirates and Qatar, those seem to be candidates. Anyway, we'll find that out soon enough too. What the response of the Arab world to this may be, I think we've got some reports from Egypt that some of the people who have been in Tahrir Square are now saying that this is no good, that this is imperialist intervention in the internal affairs of a sovereign state. And I would like to talk for a second to people who may be listening in. I've noticed that the Tarpley.net website back in the month of February was very widely read in Libya. It got up to 2,500 or 3,000 on the Libyan list. In other words, it was in the top several thousand websites in Libya. And right now, if you look at the standings, Tarpley.net is actually very popular in Egypt. It's somewhere in the 20 to 30,000 range in Libya. In Egypt right now. So I hope people listen to this. What you learn from the United States or any other country is you can't make politics depend on personalities. In other words, if your only program is, I hate Bush and Cheney, then you're vulnerable to the ruling elite coming at you with a new face, Obama. As long as you simply make it a matter of personalities that you hate, people that you demand be ousted, you're going to lose because you're too fixated. You're not going for a program. You're going for an individual. And the imperialists have many individuals, and they have them in all colors, and they have them in all ideological varieties. Right? They have left wingers, they have right wingers, they have Asians, they have Hispanics, they have blacks, they have whites, they have Irish and Polish or whatever it is. They have it all. They have Muslims. They have everything. That's imperialism. Therefore, if your program is we hate Mubarak, Mubarak must go. Fine. Now, what did that get you? The structures are still there. What are the reforms you want to make institutionally? Revolutions have got to remove old institutions. You could have institutions like slavery or monarchy or hereditary aristocracy or the immunity of the aristocracy to be taxed or foreign colonialism. That's another institution. Revolutions generally deal with those problems. National unification is also an institutional reform. You've got to go far beyond personalities. And then, above all, economics. You've got to do things like free yourself from the International Monetary Fund, free yourself from the World Bank, the World Trade Organization. You've got to abolish the system of private central banks. You've got to tax financial speculation and derivatives. You've got to nationalize your central bank. You've got to use that credit-creating power for full employment, for building infrastructure, for modernization, for science, technology, industry, progress, the modernization of agriculture, and the raising of your living standard, greater longevity, full employment and related issues. That's what you've got to think of. So you've got to come up with a program which is far beyond, I hate Gaddafi, I hate Ben Ali, I hate Mubarak. That's totally inadequate. And we've seen it here, right? The more you were fixated on Bush and Cheney, the easier prey you were for Obama. The more you were fixated on Obama, the easier prey you were then for the reactionary Republicans and their demagogic Tea Party of AstroTurf that then came in. So that would also go for Italy, right? If you hate Berlusconi, that's totally inadequate. Why not have a positive program of your own? If you're concerned about the fate of the Italian working class, then have a program that addresses that. And it can't simply be, I'm willing to become a foot soldier in a foreign-inspired destabilization of Berlusconi, which really targets the Berlusconi-Putin axis. You don't have to support Berlusconi, but you certainly don't have to become a pawn for the U.S. and the British as they try to bust the relation between Italy and Russia, because that's what the issue there is. So have your own program, and that's exactly what I mean, a program of demands. And if you want to have a starting point, take a look at the top of Tarpley.net. There's a 5-point program that can be adopted quite easily for any country. And if you have a group and you want me to adopt it for you, I'll be happy to do that, at least within the limits of the time that I have. So now, in terms of Libya, back to Libya, the problem now is the U.S., British, French coalition. The Italians have also caved in. Berlusconi, under heavy attack, going from one legal attack to the next, has said, yes, you can have Sigonella NATO base, which is the key one if you want to start flying over Tripoli. All of these countries, you can see, are weak and undermined by the internal situations, in many cases by destabilization operations that are already going on against them. Inside Libya, who are these rebels, finally, right? Who are the rebels? Nobody really knows, right? We had the Obama White House this week saying we can't send weapons to a post office box in the desert. So they've now decided 2 or 3 days later that the U.S. has to come in and start a fourth war, because that's what it is. You've got Iraq, you've got Afghanistan, you've got Pakistan, and now you've got Libya, a fourth war. Overstretched, imperialist overstretch is certainly there. You can't send weapons, you can't intervene in favor of a post office box in the desert. Or as Gaddafi said, the thugs, the gangs, and the beards. Who are these people? I think you can, as far as I can tell, you can distinguish 3 groups. One is a more or less permanent clique of subversives in Benghazi that have been funded by the U.S. for a long time, getting money from the U.S. intelligence community through the privatized, the Project Democracy side of it. So you've got the Benghazi revolutionaries. You've then got a group of disgruntled army guys around this person Yunus, who was announced as the new military leader of the rebels in the 24 hours before the UN Security Council vote. And this, of course, is the key to it, because the whole essence of what is actually going on is to bribe and suborn a significant part of the Libyan army and make them go over to the rebels. That's the real work. Getting the crowds, getting the various dupes into the square, that's relatively easy. That you can do at relatively low cost. So the Benghazi clique, the Yunus army clique, and then the Senussi. And the Senussi are, well, a group of desert dwellers, right? The people in the say south of the coast, and their history of guerrilla operations goes back to the Italian colonialist era. They were the ones who mounted the resistance against Marshal Graziani and the Italians, leading to some pretty horrendous atrocities. These Senussi are royalists, and probably in the Benghazi clique you've got the Muslim Brotherhood. So that's what it is. Back in a minute.